You want to get your head around something big, something complex, maybe, without spending, weeks digging through it all yourself. Then you're in the right place. We've done the heavy lifting. Today, we're doing a deep dive into Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. That's the huge RPG from Ryuga Gotoku Studio and Sega that landed early 2024.
Yeah, and it's a big one. Not just any sequel. This is the 9th mainline game, and it picks up right after Yakuza, Like a Dragon from 2020, and also Like a Dragon Gaiden from 2023. So quite a bit of history there.
Exactly. And it brings together two massive characters, doesn't it? Ichiban Kasuga, the sort of optimistic hero from the last main game, and the legend himself, Kazuma Kiryu.
Right. And their story takes us from places we know, like Isazaki Ichincho and Yokohama and Kamurocho and Tokyo, all the way to Honolulu, Hawaii. First time overseas for the series, which is pretty cool.
It really is.
Yeah.
So our mission today is basically to pull out the most interesting, the most important bits from this game based on everything we've looked at. Cut through the noise,
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Let's get into the gameplay first, because that turn-based combat shift in the 2020 game was, well, a huge deal. Infinite Wealth definitely builds on that. It's not just picking moves anymore.
Absolutely. Now you actually control where your characters stand during fights.
Yeah.
You can move them around.
Yeah, that's a big change. Adds a whole strategic layer.
Totally.
Oh.
You can set up like back attacks or group people together for bonuses.
Yeah.
So it matters where everyone is, not just who you hit.
And it's neat how they brought back using the environment. Like grabbing a bike or a sign.
Oh, yeah, the heat actions.
Exactly. Those are in the turn-based system now. And there are these button prompts during some attacks, too. If you nail the timing, you get bonus damage. Keeps you kind of switched on.
And Kiryu, he's got his own unique thing going on, right? His Dragon of Dojima job.
Yeah, he can switch stances, light, normal, heavy. It feels like a callback to his action game roots, letting him adapt his fighting style.
Light for faster stuff, heavy for guard breaks, I guess.
Pretty much. And he has this hype meter. Fill that up and bam. He can just go nuts in real-time combat for a bit. It's a fantastic nod for longtime fans, feeling that classic Kiryu power again.
It sounds like building your party is more important now, too. Thinking about elements who can break guards.
Definitely. You really need a balanced team. And the bonds between characters matter more. Improve those relationships, and you unlock these cool tag team moves. Powerful stuff.
That encourages using everyone, not just sticking to the same 4 people.
Right. And outside of the combat details, the job system is back and bigger. Characters changing classes, basically.
Gives you totally different skills and play styles. I saw some returning ones like Breaker, Idol, Chef.
Yep, those are back. And then there are some wild new ones. Aquanaut, Samurai, Pyro Dancer, even Housekeeper.
Housekeeper, seriously. What does a housekeeper do in combat?
Well, you'd be surprised. It's often about, cleaning up enemies with watery or bubbly attacks. The variety's amazing. It really makes you want to mess around with different party setups.
A pyro dancer and a samurai. Interesting combo potential there.
But, Like a Dragon games, they're never just about the combat, are they? The mini-games and side stuff in Infinite Wealth, it's almost overwhelming.
Oh, yeah. It feels like they've jammed 10 other games inside this one.
You've got the classic back, karaoke, darts, mahjong, and the arcades, Virtua Fighter 3TB, Sega Bass Fishing, Spike Out.
I could lose hours just in the arcade. It's great they keep bringing those back. What does that say about the series, you think? The commitment to side stuff?
Well, it shows they understand the appeal isn't just the crime story, right? It's the whole package, the serious and the completely ridiculous side of things. And the new stuff feels really developed, too.
Like Crazy Delivery. That looked insane.
It is sort of like Crazy Taxi, but crazier.
Yeah.
Then there's Sujimon Battle, which is basically their take on Pokemon.
They're like Yakuza guys instead of creatures.
Sort of. You collect these Sujimon memorable weirdos you find around the place and battle them. It's surprisingly deep. And there's Mismatch, a dating app for Ichiban.
Okay, Sujimon. So for someone who hasn't played Pokemon, you're building a team of these characters with different skills.
Exactly. They have types, abilities, you train them up, fight trainers. It's a whole thing. But honestly, the biggest side activity, it has to be Dondoko Island.
Ah, yes, the island resort thing. That looks massive.
It practically is another game. Kasuga gets this rundown island covered in trash, and you have to turn it into, a 5-star resort.
So you're gathering resources, crafting.
Yeah.
Sounds almost like Animal Crossing meets Yakuza.
Kind of, yeah. You gather trash, wood, stone, it's the usual crafting stuff. There are 5 main types from trash: cloth, plastic, iron, glass, semiconductors, then wood and stone. You use it all for DIY crafting. Furniture, decorations,
I
buildings.
think that attracts guests.
Yeah, exactly. It's got its own menu, its own stats, resort rank, building talent, satisfaction, popularity, and its own currency, Dokobucks.
Dokobucks, love it.
The main loop is clearing trash to improve the land, letting you build more.
And the furniture you build actually matters.
Oh, totally. It boosts satisfaction and popularity. And get this, furniture you put in Ichiban's own house on the island increases its livability, and hitting certain levels actually increases Ichiban's max HP back in the main game.
Wow, that's a clever link. So it's
Okay.
worth doing, even if you just focused on the main story.
Definitely provides a boost. And there's loads of furniture, different types, different genres like rustic, pop, sleazy, elegant. Guests have preferences.
Sleazy furniture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you gotta cater to their tastes. Even the size matters for placing it.
How do you get all this furniture? Just crafting.
Crafting is a big part, and it levels up your building talent. But you also find blueprints washed up on the beach, in shops, rewards from other mini games, sub-stories.
So exploring pays off there, too.
Yep. And there's a shop, Mayoshia, that sells blueprints, exclusive stuff, and anything you've crafted before. Plus, you have key NPCs, Kenzo for tool upgrades and lodging.
Lodging for guests, right?
Right. And Subaru handles souvenirs, commercials to attract specific guests, even campfire parties to boost satisfaction.
It sounds incredibly detailed. Do you have to, like, lay out paths and stuff?
Yeah. Furniture needs to be next to a path, facing the right way so guests can interact. It really feels like designing a resort layout.
And the guests stay for a few days.
3 days per tour. Their happiness depends on if the island matches their taste, if you greet them, give them souvenirs, that sort of thing.
And the goal is to raise the resort rank.
That's the main progression. Higher rank needs more satisfaction, more popularity, and completing missions like clearing areas or fighting off pirates who dump trash.
Pirates. Of
Yeah.
course there are pirates.
Naturally, higher rank unlocks more stuff, more areas, and crucially lets you earn more Dokobucks. And there's a character, Dolphine, who converts Dokobucks to regular yen. The exchange rate gets better as your rank increases.
So it can be a serious moneymaker for the main game.
Oh, yeah.
Very useful. Okay, so that's Dondoko Island. But Kiryu has his own thing too, the bucket list.
Right. That feels much more personal, more tied to his long history. It's about him revisiting his past, dealing with unfinished business, meeting old friends.
So you get these two very different major side activities. One massive building sim, one more reflective and character-focused. What does that add, having both?
It gives great variety, I think. Caters to different moods. Dondoko is for when you want to build and manage. Kiryu's list is for the feels, for the lore.
Nostalgia for longtime fans.
Exactly. And we can't forget the Sujimon League properly. We mentioned Sujimon Battle, but there's a whole league structure. Over 200 Sujimon, training, a storyline, rivals. It's huge.
Right, more than just a quick minigame.
Definitely not. And then, of course, you have all the regular sub-stories, those classic, weird, funny, sometimes really heartfelt side quests.
The bread and butter of the series, really.
Absolutely. Plus dungeons for grinding gear and EXP if you need a boost.
Okay, so that covers the gameplay landscape pretty well, I think. Massive amount to do. Let's switch gears to the story and the characters. It's set in 2023, brings Ichiban and Kiryu together.
Right. Primarily in Yokohama and Honolulu. The main plot kicks off with Ichiban trying to find his biological mother, Akaine Kishida, in Hawaii. He thought she was gone, but new info sends him searching.
And Kiryu's there too, but for different reasons.
Yeah, he's kind of operating under the orders of the Daidoji faction, this shadowy group. But his path crosses Ichiban's, and he ends up helping him while juggling his own stuff.
And Ichiban's crew is back. Namba,
Yeah.
Adachi, Saikeiko.
Yep, the core group returns. Nanba, Adachi, Saiko, Zhao, Jungihan, Sianhi, all playable again at various points.
Yeah.
And they meet new allies in Hawaii.
Right, the new party members. Eric Tomizawa, the taxi driver.
That's him. Starts off a bit antagonistic, but joins the crew. And Chitose Fujinomiya, who seems like just a kind's maid at first, but there's more to her. They both become key players.
And the villains and other key figures. Always a colorful cast in these games.
Oh, yeah. We see Joe Sawashiro again from the last game. New faces include Eiji Mitamura, this wheelchair-bound tech genius, Masataka Ebina, acting head of the Siryu clan.
Sounds like a lot of moving parts.
There are. Plus, Yutaka Yamai, a disgraced Yakuza boss in Hawaii. Dwight Mendez, leader of the Barracudas gang, played by Danny Trejo, by the way.
No way, Danny Trejo.
Yeah. Then there's Wong Tu of the Chinese Mafia, Bryce Fairchild, this mysterious leader of a religious group called Palakana, and a young girl, Lonnie, connected to Akane. It's a big ensemble.
And some familiar faces for Kiryu's side, too.
Definitely. Majima, Sajima, Daigo Dojima, they appear, often through Kiryu's bucket list stuff, connecting back to his past.
So the plot itself sounds complicated. Fake rumors, Yakuza dissolutions, this Pelicana group, nuclear waste.
It is pretty tangled, yeah. There's a plot to cause a second great dissolution of the Yakuza. Akan's hidden past is tied up with Pelicana, and it all connects to this big conspiracy about dumping nuclear waste on a place called Nella Island. Lots of twists, betrayals.
Standard. Like a dragon fair, then.
But intense.
Very. And layering over all of it is Kiryu's personal story. We find out he's dealing with cancer, doesn't have long left. That adds a real weight to everything he does.
Wow, okay. That's heavy, so it's got that emotional core, too. Absolutely. In the end, the good guys expose the conspiracy, defeat Bryce and Abina, the main antagonists, and sort of find a way forward. But it's quite the journey.
Right. Okay, let's talk about how this beast of a game actually came together and how people reacted to it. It was announced back in September 2022.
Yeah, originally just as, like, a Dragon 8. Simple title back then.
And I heard something interesting about a VTuber being in the game, Crusensen.
That's right. She won a competition RGG Studio ran, so she appears as Kay, a character at the Revolve Bar. Pretty cool way to engage with the community.
Definitely. Any other cameos like that?
Quite a few Japanese celebrities. MMA fighter Mikuru Asakura, TV folks like Risa Unai, Utamaru, weather reporters Sae Hayama, and Yui Komaki. Even the kids' characters, Gachapin and Muku, are in there somewhere. Adds a bit of flavor.
And the title Infinite Wealth. That's just for the international release.
Yeah, in Japan it's still Riga Gotoku 8. Infinite Wealth ties into story themes apparently, but also just helps differentiate it globally.
Makes sense in the theme song.
Ariamaru Tomi by Ringo Shina. Huge Japanese artist. The director apparently listened to her music a lot during development for inspiration.
Cool. So how did it land with critics? Sounds like it was pretty well received.
Massively well received. It got a perfect 40/40 from Famitsu in Japan, which is rare. IGN gave it a 9/10. Metacritic scores are generally around the 89-92 mark, so yeah, critics loved it.
And players. Did it sell well?
Extremely well. Over 1 million copies shipped and sold digitally in just the first week. Huge numbers. Shows how big the series has become worldwide.
Any awards?
Picked up a few nods and wins already. Award for Excellence at the Japan Game Awards 2024. A Seiyu Award for Game Voice Acting in 2025. It's definitely getting industry recognition.
So if you compare it to the previous one, Yakuza.
Yeah.
Like a Dragon. What are the main improvements people point to?
Well, Like a Dragon was praised for making that risky switch to turn-based work so well. Infinite Wealth gets props for refining that combat, making it more strategic, and just the sheer amount of quality side content is a big one. Dondoko, Kiryu's List, Sujiman are all huge additions.
Plus the new Hawaii setting, right?
Yeah, Hawaii adds a lot of freshness, and some feel the pacing of the main story is maybe a bit tighter this time around. So while the last game was revolutionary for the series, this one really refined and expanded on that new formula.
Okay, wrapping things up then for this deep dive. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth is, well, it's massive. Just an incredible amount of game here.
Absolutely. Dondoko Island alone could have been its own release, almost. The scale is pretty ambitious.
And it still nails that blend, doesn't it? The really serious, sometimes quite dark story mixed with total absurdity, plus great characters, new and old.
That's the magic of the series, and it keeps that balance. The character work, especially for Ichiban and Kiryu, is really strong here.
So hopefully this has given you listening a good handle on what makes this game tick, the key things to know about it.
Yeah, a solid overview of a very, very big game, which kind of leads to a final thought, doesn't it?
Go on.
With all this infinite content, all these interwoven stories, what single thing do you think really shows how the Like a Dragon series is evolving now? Is it the globe-trotting story, the deeper combat, or maybe the incredible depth of side activities like Dondoko Island? What best captures where the series is heading? Something to chew on.